So eventually, from my point of view, as on introduction, in the past years, we are witnessing the intense development of generative AI. We spoke about it, a lot of it, and the use is in many technologies such as computer vision, robotics, speech recognition, etc., but also in areas, of course, of audits. When we go to countries, we see that many countries are investing huge amount of money in this international arms race, or the AI revolution. For example, China announced its intention to become the global leader in AI until 2030. Other leaders also announced their have more and more funds invested, such as the UK. In UK, the government and AI sector have agreed on a £1 billion financial support, United States, etc., etc. So there are many countries all over the world that are spending huge amounts of money on AI. At the same time, we should be aware that many of the big companies are investing billions of dollars on AI. For example, Microsoft has invested few billions of dollars in OpenAI. Other companies are dealing with it, and so it's a lot of money that will enter into this area eventually at present, and also by the coming future. If I just want to go back to the previous slide, this is, I think, quite a very interesting challenge for us, because we are entering into a world that the companies are investing more and more money, and from my point of view, it's an issue that in all the democratic world we should think it over. But because we are moving some of the standards, some of the regulations out of democratic bodies, such as Parliament and others that are elected by public, eventually to companies that not always are regulated. In a way, it gives them a lot of power, and I think this is something that we have to think a lot as state auditors. But on November 2020, I think the big bang of AI took place since ChatGPT entered into our life. You can see here very interesting graph that demonstrate how quickly the platform of ChatGPT reached hundreds of millions of users. If we were speaking about, for example, Netflix, it took them 10 years. So ChatGPT, within 2 months, they had already 100 million users. And I can tell you that if you would ask any high school students that is preparing any work in his school as of today, probably he will tell you all the young generation are using ChatGPT as part of their study process, and it's a big challenge for both teachers and both students. But we are speaking about the whole world. There is an impact, of course, on our audit work. That the increasing of effectiveness, efficiency and accuracy, the ability to analyze big data very quickly, the moving on to real-time monitoring and fraud detection, and of course to use it for enhanced risk management. And at the same time, there is an impact on areas of audits and audited bodies. So because we have to meet, and we have just heard from our British colleague, the UK NAO, how they are already checking decision making, and I would say that it will be much more difficult to find out decision making that is based on AI than the previous model that we have just seen. This is the issue of black box problem by using AI, and we will face it more and more in our audited bodies, and I think it's a big challenge. And at the same time, we have a role as state auditors to look into the balance of our auditees to the AI world. At the same time, there are many risks by using AI. One of them, for example, is false news and false publications. This is one that I can share with you. Fake image that can affect a lot. The issue of public elections that can be affected by AI. Issues of criminals using AI for weapons and other misuse of the tools. If I would like, from my point of view, to share with you the top risks, so it would be out of control, the manipulation, and the employment market, the effect on employment market. We've just heard that there are some assessments by many governments that it will reduce the labor force, enable them to save more money, but at the same time, we have to prepare the employment market in each one of our countries to the change. There is the issue of discrimination and bias, because now we are letting the AI to rule our life. It has its own discrimination policy, it has its own views, and it can affect the results that you are getting out of it. And of course, there is the issue of data privacy and information security. Just I will share with you that in our office, of course, I believe many offices, we started to use AI in our audit procedures, but we are facing the problem or the challenge that by using AI tools, we take out of our office data that was collected only for the purpose of the audit procedures. And now it's already available somewhere all over the world and can be used. Or if we are sending a draft of our audit report to AI to give us a commendation, whether it was well written or not, everything was in it, will it occur online? Next, somebody will look into our draft and will it see it or not see it? So these are the risks in using AI, and we should take them into consideration. We know that in different countries there are different regulations regarding the implementation of AI, some more tight, some less tight, but we should look very carefully about the implementation of those regulations in order to reduce the risk on one hand, on the other hand, to promote innovation and innovative steps. I can share with you, but I will not go into it. We have done few examples in our office of cyber and IT audits, etc. I will not go into it. I will leave it, of course, to the next person. But I just wanted to illustrate the power of the AI technology in the audit process. And we asked, please generate a presentation of an audit about AI in the government. We asked ChatGPT, and of course, we received the full answer. I don't know if the UK report was based on the answer of ChatGPT, but it's quite a good answer. What should an AI audit report look when we And at the same time, I want to share with you that we are now leading within EUROSAI AI parallel audit with a group of many EUROSAI members, and we share knowledge about it, and I believe this will promote all of us. I just want to share with you that in AI parallel audit we will deal with three aspects: the technological aspect, the regulation and legislation, and the implementation of AI in public state. You see here the participants in our AI parallel audit group, and I want to thank all the participants in this group and to invite others that wish also to participate in this AI parallel audit. And we already spoke with the Estonian office about thinking that we should establish, I think, a permanent group within the IT group that relates to AI issue, because this is a very important issue that once again was raised as a main issue for all of us to deal with. So I wish to thank you very much for it, and I'm inviting Tony, the head of Court of Audit, so thank you very much. If there are any questions, thank you.
Sorry, so just a moment.
Okay. Technology. Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, President, for the invitation to present this on this topic today. Myself and Janar, though, I think have drawn the short straw. We're in the last session of the day. People are tired. We haven't seen the light for some time, but we'll try our best, Janar, to keep people awake, at least for another half an hour. I'd like to basically present this in two phases. First of all, we have an AI strategy. And secondly, then it will be about some of the examples where we've used it and the lessons learned so far. But I would like to stress again that has been sort of a limited exposure so far. So I think as I say, I mean, I think it's important. I mean, we have an AI strategy. I think that's already a positive. Let's say. I don't think it's an end in itself. I mean, it's not that we can now rest on our laurels and say, oh, now we have an AI strategy, we can forget about it, because the important part now is basically implementing that strategy, or also based on the contributions of last night. I mean, you could see how much of a changing environment this is, and we can't have a static document which doesn't change and adapt. So we will have to revisit this, I think, on a regular basis. But I think in itself, the fact that it's there is a reminder to us of how important it is to have a strategy and keeps our focus on the area, I would say. I mean, I think it's here to stay, AI, as we said. I mean, I think there was some very interesting insights from Professor Alan Brown last night. I think when he said that, you know, few of anybody fully understand this area, it's a bit of a challenge, I think. And I think another thing which resonated with me was when he said that as auditors, we will have to basically think again about our approach and our mentality in relation to how we audit this new tool. As I say, maybe if we start with the strategy itself, I mean, this has sort of, you know, developed over a few years. In 2017, we created an ECHA lab in the ECHA. So what we tried to do there was to bring people who were very motivated in terms of IT, very interested in it together, and how they could help support, you know, provide a support service to our audit teams. So in 2020, we appointed a steering committee and a digital steering committee, basically to help move forward with digital transformation. And this basically we have a plan for making better use of technology and audit and data in audit. But again, I would have to stress that, I mean, we're constrained a little bit by our auditees. I mean, how much our auditees are prepared in terms of providing structured data that we can use. So, and I think this will become also a challenge in terms of AI. So as I say, I mean, while this work was ongoing, I mean, AI reared its head. I mean, and the first sort of, I would say, consideration of it was in 2023, when we sort of had a reflection paper on the challenges and, the opportunities and risks from using AI for audit, as well as actually auditing AI. So, I mean, we basically have tried to have a bottom down approach and a bottom up. So we wanted to keep the staff involved so that they contribute. We think that these two approaches can coexist, and they kind of complement each other in our view. So as I say, the top-down approach comes from the senior management. They aim to provide a strategy, a roadmap, and a formal framework that we can channel together the initiatives from the various parts of the organisation. So as I say, the initial starting point was the reflection paper. And then that was in 2023, and this led to the creation of this audit, strategy, the AI strategy in 2024. I think we adopted it at the court in 2024, and we actually thought it was very important that we as a college adopted this, so we took ownership of it, that this is a real thing, that it wasn't just a document to be read and then just, as I say, it's a living document that needs to be an eye to be kept on it at all points along the way. So I would say our current strategy, I mean, and I think, as I said before, I think we can't overestimate that it's just a strategy. It needs to be implemented now, and these are the goals which we want to reach by implementing it. So we have basically three main goals. The first one is about increasing our own operation efficiency in audit through AI tools. I think we're all under pressure in terms of resources, and we all are looking for efficiency gains however we can do that. Then I think an interesting one is about our ability to audit AI-based project systems and processes. And this is why I was very interested in the NAO presentation earlier from Phil. I was actually quite surprised at the level of deployment in the British government. About 35% was quite high, I thought. And I think what was interesting for us as auditors is it was what they're actually involved in. They're involved in the decision-making processes. They're involved in internal control processes. And also fraud was mentioned too. So these are all issues which are extremely important for us if we are to do our job properly and to add some value. And interestingly enough, as part of this strategy, we did a survey of 27 SAIs. We got 23 replies, so it wasn't so bad. And contrary to what's worrying compared to the deployment, say, by the government ministries here, was the fact that, 16 of the 23 said they're still in the exploratory phase, 4 said they're in a sort of a development phase, 3 said they don't use it at all, and actually there is no one with AI in production at all. So nobody has an AI process, auditing process in production. So I think we're, again, behind the curve, if you like, and we need to really, catch up, because it's moving at a pace that we need to keep up with it. So, as I say, some of the actions that we included in this roadmap, I mean, we looked them around 3 main axes. We talked about our people, investment, and cooperation. So basically, I mean, it was mentioned earlier, one of the big areas is the know-how and expertise, that everyone is competing for the same limited expertise that's available. So I think there will have to be sort of a certain amount of self-training, which will have to be done using, wherever possible, external consultants to deliver that if needed. So what we're trying to do in the EGA is basically have a training path for staff who are interested, and to sort of create an actual AI competence centre. So, I mean, we provide all the staff with guidelines on the use of publicly available generative AI tools, which was just mentioned in terms of ChatGPT. So, I mean, we also underline that those which are not allowed, in fact, for internal pieces of information or personal data, because obviously there are all sorts of issues and risks which are raised again in the 2 very enlightening presentations last night. The second one is on investments, and here, we want to enhance the services offered by the data team who are directly supporting our other teams. And so we want an IT project portfolio for the introduction of new tools available to all staff. But again, I think what was very interesting last night in the presentation was that it's not all just about more money and more people. I mean, we need to be more strategic about this. I mean, and as I say, that comes back to maybe changing our methodology and mindset in relation to AI. And I think another axis that we think is extremely important is cooperation. This is what we're doing today, I think. I think it's extremely important. We basically have established a communication plan so that we can keep the stakeholder informed, at the right level, let's say, and disseminate relevant information. We consider the cooperation between SAIs to be a real added value. We can exchange knowledge, evaluate together the outcomes and reuse tools. And obviously, Janar will present now the IT Working Group of EUROSAI, which will cover to some extent the topic. And obviously, this topic was also discussed in the Young EUROSAI in June 2024. So it's basically on the radar, and now we just have to do something about it. The time for talking is probably over, and now some actions need to be followed. So we also engage, in cooperation with the other EU institutions where we can. The context of there's an interinstitutional committee on digital transformation, which basically comprises all the 7 EU institutions. So they meet from time to time. So again, I think there's room for cooperation and coherence there to make sure that, as auditee and auditor, that we protect each other adequately. And I think we have another topic which was mentioned by earlier, we have an ongoing peer review of the ECA at the moment, and basically our digital audit approach and the use of our IT tools is being examined. So I think that will probably show, as I say, that it's all well and good having a strategy, but you actually have to deliver on it as well. So maybe to make things a little bit more concrete, because as I say, it's all basically in the theory at the moment. So we have some practical examples where we have basically used AI. We have an AI-based drafting assistant, so for text. And here basically it helps our auditors to draft paragraphs starting from a list of ideas or concepts and proofread and adapt existing text to our style guidelines, let's say. A bit like what the President mentioned earlier, you asked them to give you the framework for it. We found that as well, that if we ask, if it reads a number of our reports, it will give us back in the exact format of our standard report. So, it can be very, very useful. We also use, AI to extract information from documents, because like all of you, we're dealing with large volumes of public data and documents. And for us also, we have the added complexity of many official languages, 24 official languages to deal with. So that makes it even more complicated. So basically we had a team, tested the AI to classify these documents based on very specific criteria. And as I say, we're still at the stage where we don't know the extent to which we can actually trust the AI outcome, and it requires some further evaluation and review. And the third one I would say is, AI for the automated production of fact sheets. And this actually involves some of the SAIs here. The idea was to automate the production of fact sheets that would summarize, SAI's different reports. In March 2024, we started a pilot project with the SAIs of Sweden, the Netherlands and Germany. And the aim was to assess how effectively we can actually use AI to automate the translation and summarization of audit reports from different SAIs to generate a fact sheet with a predetermined structure. So to give a sort of an overview of the findings in a predefined structure. I think so far, my colleagues will agree that results are quite promising, but we still have some validation work to do. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank my colleagues from the Swedish, Dutch and German SAIs for their excellent work and cooperation in this project. So as you can see, I think there has been some work and progress made, but the results basically still have to be validated to see the extent to which we can use it further. So the lessons learned, again, as I said when we talked about the strategy at the start, AI products are evolving rapidly. So, keeping a repeatable audit trail is difficult. And this goes back to another audit this morning from the NAO about the repeatable modelling, that they should have a proper audit trail. So, I think, again, this is an issue for us here. And still, at least, human evaluation of the results is still necessary and very time consuming. So, we don't have automated quality controls yet. So, we're not really seeing the efficiencies that, are being expected. So, it's a bit of a learning process. AI results generally are okay, but they're often incomplete or not complete. There's laziness of large language models, general avoidance of anything which is potentially controversial, etc. So, there are some lessons learned, and the last one we have on the list here, it's not only a technology. There factual and data protection aspects which are still not completely consistent and clarified. And I think this is a real area of So to conclude, I would just like to say I think the fact that we have a strategy in itself is a good thing, but it's only a starting point which we need to keep an eye on, to keep reviewing. And obviously, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. We will have to see how we actually evolve in terms of using AI going forward. Thank you very much.
So good afternoon, Presidency, dear colleagues. I try to keep Tony's promise that I do it quickly. I prepared 2 hours presentation. Now I do it in 1 hour. So really proud to be part of IT Working Group, a group that connects innovative supreme audit institutions, paving the road to government accountability, and setting an example, at least I hope so, for the auditing community all over the world. IT Working Group. IT Working Group is not working. Laptop.
I don't think it won't work because it's not a presentation anymore. So just...
Usually I'm very good on that.
I think it's just today. I think it's just going to be using the arrows down here. So just no.
This way. Okay, good. So this was about looking from not supreme audit institutions' perspective, but another perspective. The governments in Europe have acknowledged the importance of artificial intelligence and started experimenting with the field, as we heard already from Mr. Englman and a good presentation from that session. And investing in the remote resources based on ambitious strategies while trying to mitigate risks, applying proportional regulation. Against this scenery, it's no surprise that supreme audit institutions feel almost pushed to audit whether governments are exercising necessary controls and at the same time performing our first steps looking into me. The mission of our working group is to provide its members an inclusive platform to learn together from each other in order to address the challenges regarding IT in various domains. Following this mission, we have tried our best to gather as much information on the development of artificial intelligence in our region as possible, and not only in our region. 2 dramatic events have been organized, with the last one taking place just months ago in Oslo. Thank you, Karl-Erik, and to his colleagues. We discussed the implications of artificial intelligence for governments as well as challenges and opportunities that supreme audit institutions are faced with when auditing these developments. We also exchanged information on possible use cases for artificial intelligence to support that. Artificial intelligence is doing different events in the supreme audit institutions community have also been focusing on the topic, but we have also learned that the use of artificial intelligence is often still in rather early phase in our governments, and many solutions that are developed end up really, as we heard today, of United Kingdom, they celebrate government artificial intelligence audit and found that it was 70%, if I remember, of the respondents were just piloting or planning artificial intelligence, and only some of them, 30%, were utilizing one or more solutions. Similarly, the latest report by the Netherlands Court of Audit revealed that about 70% of developed artificial intelligence solutions were not used actively. Moreover, the stakeholders even do not overview of their artificial intelligence solutions. The Dutch audit systems and audit. What is the most surprising for me, or maybe surprising is not the correct word, but the problem for me is that the basic conceptualization of artificial intelligence itself is still very vague. Sometimes even a simple process automation is considered as artificial intelligence. Specifically, how by the National Audit Office of United Kingdom, the solutions under scope were defined. From merely computer systems that use some form of machine learning for tasks to artificial intelligence learning, from data how to perform tasks rather than being explicitly programmed. We should establish common vocabulary when talking about this technology to avoid misconception. Of course, we probably all see implementing artificial intelligence in government. The fact that this technology is still in the early adoption phase probably also influences our approach as audit institutions. The supreme audit institutions might, for example, feel inclined to take a more supportive and consulting role. At the same time, we cannot overlook our main mission. Supreme audit institutions have to keep our eye on the use of taxpayers' funds and avoid mistakes maybe someone else has already made in another ecosystem. For example, proof of concepts that have not succeeded. And of course, we cannot forget about potential risk to data confidentiality that may arise when experimenting with new tools. While it's tempting to focus on the technological aspects and benefits of artificial intelligence, supreme institutions should maintain and urge governments to consider wider picture, including ethical, legal, privacy, etc. challenges artificial intelligence can pose. This is something like Tony just some minutes ago said. Utilizing artificial intelligence by audit institutions or by governments should adhere to European values base also. We are really extremely happy from the side of our working group that the EUROSAI parallel audit on artificial intelligence is ongoing as we speak, and as Mr. Englman already told, Supreme Audit Institution of Israel has taken initiative and hefty responsibility of leading it, sharing their knowledge and in regular discussions with all audit participants. The monitoring of the progress development in artificial intelligence also requires constant monitoring. And for this purpose, we would like audit experts to share the country's developments in that field as ongoing process. And I agree with Mr. Englman's proposal that some special focus must be paid on this topic under IT Working Group. So it's really a good proposal. Artificial intelligence and most prominent large language models are undeniably for auditing, but the menu of possible choices is mind-blowing, and the auditor may feel like a child in a candy shop, especially considering the pace of technology is evolving. We have to consider our resources and cannot probably afford to experiment with everything. So again, knowledge sharing between EUROSAI members is an important way to share the main takeaways from implementing different tools and methods. In our working group, we have virtual coffee breaks with colleagues to facilitate such direct interaction between audit experts, and I would invite all Supreme Audit institutions to actively contribute to this format. It also has been benefit of creating a pool of field specialists or consultants who would be willing to help peers work on similar projects. The database of IT audit experts has been available on our website for 2 years now, and we are looking forward to engaging more data analysts and engineers therein to supplement the existing pool of specialists. Taking advantage of our fortunate position in the IT Working Group, the knowledge hub of constantly accumulating best European practice on auditing artificial intelligence, we have proposed to develop an e-learning program auditing artificial intelligence in public sector, and invite other audit institutions to join our efforts. We can build on our earlier experiences with the e-learning program Introduction to Public Sector IT Audit, where hundreds of auditors have already obtained basic knowledge about the field. We have already sent this project to all IT working groups, so we have been completing already good thoughts and proposals from other institutions. I strongly encourage everyone interested in participating in this project to make contact with my colleagues at IT Working Group Secretariats. We already have been negotiating also with partners from the EUROSAI region, also Supreme Audit institutions of United States of America and India, to utilize their expertise and get their valuable input. A well-managed worldwide consortium is the foundation for beneficial and practical training. So, especially in times of rapid technological advance, the benefits of cooperation become even more clear. So thank you for your kind attention. We are waiting for your proposals to start.